Just back at the Cranbourne side here, in the process of taking these supers off and extracting and putting stickies back on, identified 2 hives here that are pretty well buggered. So I'm just going to go through and have a bit of a look at them and try and identify what's wrong. And ultimately for these, it'll be just to shake the bees out and reuse the supers and the frames in them for other things, provided there's no disease issues in them. So the main purpose is just to do a bit of a post-mortem, I guess, and try and work out why these 2 hives are dead or near death. And we'll just do what we need to do with them. So as always, start with a well-lit smoker. Get this going. Away. So we'll get into this first one here. This was a triple 10 framer going into the wet weather just after Christmas, so something's gone pretty badly wrong with this. Possibly swarmed and didn't requeen would be my guess. We'll have a look inside anyway. So I've extracted a super honey off it and removed the empty super that was on it, and we're back to this. So a few beetles in there and a few bees. So I did try and requeen this by the look of it. This is a really beetly site at the moment, so like these bees will be moved out of here for the winter just to a sunnier apiary spot just to get away from these beetles. I guess the risk is when these hives get really weak, the beetles will take over and slime them. And you don't, provided there's no disease issues in this hive, I don't want to lose all these frames. If I want to irradiate them, I can. But yeah, a box full of stickies like this is a pretty valuable resource and I don't want to lose it. So nothing in any of them. A little bit of nectar there, so just starting to come across a bit of brood now. So I'm going to look carefully at this and make sure there's no disease issues. So I'm looking at the surface of these capped cells, so I don't want to see anything that's sunken or perforated. So they look pretty good. Haven't got a lot of sun here today. The larvae down in the cells look quite healthy. No real alarm bells there at the moment. Once again, try and find a queen here. Like a nice lady. You see where I've introduced a queen there a few months ago. So really poor brood pattern. I can't see any signs of disease on this frame, which is a good thing. There's our queen scrapper. So what I'm going to do with her. Little hair clip queen catchers are great things to use. Once again, no signs of disease on that frame. Got a bit of sun. No overt signs of anything like American foul brood there, which would be the biggest concern. But yeah, really poor laying pattern. I'm just thinking that it's a dud queen, and yeah, what we'll do is there's a few options. Just leave them. She's not going to come good coming into the cooler months. There's no stores in this hive. They're very, they've got no honey. I could take frames for another hive, like frames of brood with bees attached and put them in. once again, this time of year, I don't want to take away from my good hives to try and save this dud. I could put them into a little 6-frame or a 4-frame nucleus hive, just take the brood out. But even then, I just don't think there's enough bees in here to sustain it. And at the end of the day, I don't think the queen's any good. So, and what I tend to do with any hive like this, there's no honey, there's no nectar in there at all. There's a bit of pollen, but really no resources in there at all. So, my decision for this is that I don't want to lose any of these frames. There's no disease issues in there. The brood that there is okay. I can give that to another hive. If I just leave this hive like this, it's going to dwindle, particularly with the beetle problem I've got here at the moment. It's just going to get worse and worse until it gets slimed on me, you know. So my solution here will be just to pinch this queen, shake these bees out, and put the brood into another hive. So what I'll do, yeah, I'll just take a few frames of honey out of her. What I'll do, I'll just take this brood out and put it in another hive, shake these bees out, and let that hatch and take that super off and bring it back down to a double again. So I'll just go through that process now. There's probably 5 or 6 things you could do. Just grab that queen. So sadly, that's the end of her, but she was a dud. So what I'll do is smoke on them. Nothing on that. Nothing on that. Nothing on that. Little tiny bit of nectar in that. So there's brood, 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 and nothing. It's a bit of pollen. I'll use that. These off here, and there's nothing in it. There's no nectar at all in this hive. I was starving. I did take a super of honey off them though. A lot of beetles in there. A little bit of pollen. So there's no brood in there. So I've got 4 frames of brood. These will go out, so I'll take these over to another hive and just drop them in there. And these bees will literally just be left here and shaken out. So I've just created a space in that hive over there. I've taken 4 frames of honey out them. I'll just take them home and extract them. So this hive this little tiny bit of crappy brood will just be taken out and put in that box. It's above the queen excluder, so it'll hatch out, and I'll just backfill this with honey. So it's a nice strong hive, and I'll make use of it. I'm definitely happy there's no disease issues here with that. It's just a failing queen, so pull them out. Onto that. I could just dump these bees out here, but we'll put them over next to this other one. So that box is ready to go back home. It's got to emphasise you really got to know your stuff. If you're doing this, you need to be sure that that there's no disease in that hive. So I'm 100% confident it was a failing queen rather than AFB, EFB, something else. Okay, so If you're not sure, get someone else to check for you. I don't muck around with failing hives like that. I just tip them out in the ground and get rid of them. They have no value to me. The few hundred bees left in that hive and that queen, I don't want those genetics anymore, so they're gone. There's more value. That was a 3 super hive. I've got the 2 frames of stickies off it, and I've salvaged the brood box as well. There's probably, you know, half a frame of brood gone into that hive. That'll give them a little bit of a boost, but yeah, don't throw good after bad. Don't try and buy a queen and put into a failing hive like that. Even if it's your last hive, you really are, you know, throwing good after bad. So anyway, that's what I've done with that one. We'll go over this next hive now and do a bit of a post-mortem on that and see what's going on with it. So yeah, back at this second hive. It's dead, I guess. Look what's going on inside it. Once again, a lot of beetles. Beetles really take advantage of these hives that are weak. They know it, and they'll get in and slime them pretty quickly. So once again, this was a triple. Just identified when I taken those supers off to extract that it was buggered. Nothing. That's just honey. A little bit of unhatched brood in there. I'm going to take a little bit more interest in this. So a little bit of pollen here. A little bit of brood there, so there may be a queen in here. There's a queen in there somewhere. See if we can find. Tiny little bit of brood, bit of pollen. Yeah, there's a queen in there. Just think I'll be able to find it a bit more easily. They're behaving like they're queenless. However, there's brood in there and it's not a laying worker. Keep looking. So yeah, don't muck around with these weak hives. Just, you know, unite them. Use the brood somewhere else. Tip them out in the ground. They just, it's not worth throwing resources at them. The resources are in the frames, and the bit of brood that's in there, if any, and the wax, that infrastructure they build inside these frames, is where the value is, not the couple of hundred bees that are in here. Just can't find this queen. Should be easy. can't see it. There. Running around on the wall. Sadly no more. So, once again I'm going to just check this very carefully and make sure that there's no disease issues. I'd say once again it's just a failing queen. Get rid of them. So I'm looking at the surface of those cells. I can see 3 or 4 frames of chalk brood. I'm not worried about that. It can go into these bigger hives and they'll deal with it. The cappings are convex, so nothing's sunken or perforated, and the larvae in there are pearly white, so no sign of scale, which would indicate American foul brood. Yeah, that looks okay. So I've got 1, 2 frames of brood. So once again, the choices are, you know, put these in a 4 frame or a 3 frame nuke and let that queen nurse them along. That's no longer an option. I just pinched her. So that queen is no good. She's not going to come good. She's a waste of time. Don't throw good after bad. These couple of frames of brood will just go back into another hive over here, and I'll once again tip all these out and take this home and just put them in the stack of dry stickies. There's nothing in here of any value in terms of honey or brood or pollen. So I'll get in and do that now. I guess in the process of doing that, I've identified another quite a weak hive there over there. So I'll take the second super off and put these 2 into the brood box of that hive. So that'll bring this other one back to a single, and we'll look at it again when we redo all the assessments on these hives in a week or so. So pull them out. Can't be more than a few hundred bees in here, just very weak. So that's that job done. Those 2 hives are gone. There's a few bees on the ground there. A bit of smoke and they'll disperse. I could have shaken them back into this hive over here. So the brood from that first hive has gone into there. I'll shake that box out and put it away. And the brood for the second hive's gone into there. Something wrong with that hive too, for it to be down to a single. So I'll go through it again later in the next few days. A little bit of rain coming, so I want to get the rest of these stickies off today if I can, and get them back in the shed and get these hives packed down for that little bit of rain. So there you go, 2 hives, not dead out, but all but dead. Queens removed, bees shaken out, brood salvaged, and the stickies salvaged as well. So instead of being feed for the beetles, they're going back into my shed to be reused.